The fast food empire that once defined American culture is cracking apart before our eyes. Drive-through windows that hummed with constant traffic now sit eerily quiet. Neon signs flicker and fade above empty parking lots. The chains that fed generations of families, students, and workers are hemorrhaging money, closing locations, and losing the trust they spent decades building. This isn't about changing tastes or temporary setbacks. This is systematic collapse. The economic pressures crushing ordinary Americans are now destroying the very restaurants that promised quick, affordable meals when budgets were tight. From coast to coast, beloved brands are shuttering stores, laying off workers, and desperately trying to survive in an economy that no longer supports their business models. What we're witnessing is the death of an era, the end of cheap abundance that once made fast food the backbone of American dining. Number 10. Checkers and Rallies. For years, these twin drive-through chains survived on a simple promise: bold flavors, cheap prices, and speed that kept customers coming back for more. The distinctive checkerboard buildings became fixtures in urban neighborhoods and working-class communities, where families needed filling meals without breaking the bank. But in 2025, Checkers and Rallies are facing a perfect storm of problems that threaten their very existence. Legal troubles have become a constant shadow over the brand. Multiple lawsuits involving food safety violations, labor disputes, and franchise agreement breaches have drained resources and damaged credibility. Former employees have filed complaints about unsafe working conditions, while customers have sued over everything from contaminated food to false advertising. The mounting legal costs are bleeding cash from a company already struggling with thin profit margins. Equipment failures plague locations across the country. The specialized fryers and grills that once delivered consistent quality are breaking down faster than they can be repaired. Franchise owners report spending thousands of dollars monthly just to keep basic equipment functioning, costs that many simply cannot afford. When your entire business model depends on speed and consistency, failing equipment becomes a death sentence. Sanitation issues have become impossible to ignore. Health department reports reveal repeated violations at locations nationwide. Dirty prep areas, improper food storage, and inadequate cleaning protocols have resulted in temporary closures and public health warnings. Social media amplifies every violation, turning isolated incidents into brand-wide reputation disasters that drive customers away permanently. The financial strain is crushing franchise owners who invested their life savings into what they believed was a proven concept. Many are walking away from their investments, rather than continue pouring money into failing locations. Corporate support has dwindled as parent company resources are stretched thin across too many struggling stores. Number 9. Jack in the Box. Once known for its quirky marketing and willingness to serve anything from tacos to breakfast sandwiches at any hour, Jack in the Box built a loyal following among late-night diners and adventurous eaters. The brand's irreverent personality and diverse menu made it stand out in a crowded fast food landscape. But behind the playful exterior, serious structural problems are tearing the company apart. Food quality has become wildly inconsistent across locations. Customers report drastically different experiences depending on which store they visit, with some delivering fresh, hot food while others serve lukewarm, poorly prepared meals. This inconsistency destroys the trust that fast food customers depend on. When people choose a chain restaurant, they expect the same experience whether they're in California or Texas. Jack in the Box can no longer guarantee that basic promise. Employee morale has plummeted to dangerous levels. Workers report inadequate training, understaffing, and management that seems disconnected from day-to-day operations. High turnover rates mean that experienced staff members are constantly being replaced by new hires who haven't mastered the complex menu systems. The result is slower service, more mistakes, and frustrated customers who take their business elsewhere. Corporate messaging has lost its edge. The marketing campaigns that once made Jack in the Box memorable now feel forced and out of touch. Younger consumers don't connect with the brand's humor, while older customers are put off by declining food quality. The company finds itself stuck between demographics, appealing to neither group effectively. Financial performance reflects these operational failures. Same-store sales have declined consistently, and franchise owners are struggling to maintain profitability. The diverse menu that was once a strength has become a liability, requiring extensive inventory and trained staff that many locations can no longer afford to maintain properly. Number 8. Subway. The sandwich giant that once seemed unstoppable has become a cautionary tale of how quickly a dominant brand can fall. At its peak, Subway boasted more locations than any other restaurant chain in America, promising fresh ingredients and healthier fast food options. The green and yellow signs were everywhere, from small towns to major cities, representing affordable nutrition for millions of customers. Scandals have systematically destroyed the brand's carefully crafted image. High-profile legal troubles involving former spokespeople shattered public trust at the worst possible moment. When your entire marketing strategy is built around health and wholesomeness, any scandal becomes exponentially more damaging. Subway never recovered from the credibility hit, and customers began questioning everything about the brand. Store closures have accelerated dramatically. Thousands of locations have shut down permanently, leaving former franchise owners bankrupt and communities without their neighborhood sandwich shop. The remaining stores struggle with reduced foot traffic and increased operating costs that make profitability nearly impossible. Franchise owners are abandoning the system in record numbers. Many report feeling abandoned by corporate headquarters, forced to deal with declining sales and rising costs without adequate support. The franchise model that once drove Subway's explosive growth has become a source of conflict and resentment as owners struggle to keep their investments viable. Menu innovation has stalled completely. While competitors introduce exciting new options and fresh ingredients, Subway continues to rely on the same basic offerings that made it famous decades ago. The "Eat Fresh" slogan rings hollow when the actual food experience feels stale and uninspired compared to newer alternatives. Quality control problems persist across the system. Customers complain about inconsistent portion sizes, stale bread, and ingredients that don't match the fresh image the company promotes. When your core promise is freshness and quality, these failures become existential threats to the entire brand concept. The decline of Subway represents more than just another business failure. It shows how quickly consumer trust can evaporate and how difficult it becomes to rebuild once that trust is broken. For a chain that once defined fast casual dining, the fall has been swift and merciless. Number 7. Burger King. The home of the Whopper was once McDonald's biggest rival, a scrappy competitor that wasn't afraid to take bold risks and challenge the industry leader directly. Flame-grilled burgers, edgy advertising campaigns, and the promise that customers could have it your way built a loyal following across America. But in 2025, Burger King is stumbling through one crisis after another, hemorrhaging customers and credibility with each passing month. Corporate instability has become the chain's defining characteristic. Executive turnover happens so frequently that employees joke about needing a scorecard to track leadership changes. Each new management team arrives with grand plans for transformation, only to be replaced before any meaningful changes can take root. This constant churn creates confusion throughout the system, from corporate headquarters down to individual franchise locations. Store conditions have deteriorated dramatically. Locations that once competed directly with McDonald's now look tired and neglected. Peeling paint, broken equipment, and outdated interiors create an atmosphere that feels more like decline than dining. Customers notice these details and they vote with their wallets by choosing cleaner, more modern alternatives. Menu confusion has replaced the clear value propositions that once made Burger King successful. Constant additions and removals create a sense of chaos rather than innovation. Items disappear without warning, promotional campaigns contradict each other, and customers never know what to expect when they visit. This unpredictability destroys the consistency that fast food customers demand. Franchise relationships have soured as corporate policies clash with on-ground realities. Owners report feeling pressured to implement expensive changes without adequate support or realistic timelines. Many are actively seeking exits from their franchise agreements, preferring to cut their losses rather than continue investing in a struggling brand. Marketing messages have lost their impact entirely. The bold, irreverent campaigns that once made Burger King memorable now feel desperate and disconnected. Attempts to recapture past glory through nostalgic references only highlight how far the brand has fallen from its peak performance years. Number 6. Boston Market. There was a time when Boston Market represented the perfect solution for busy families who wanted home-style meals without the home cooking. Rotisserie chicken, hearty sides, and the promise of comfort food made it a weeknight savior for parents juggling work and family responsibilities. The warm, inviting atmosphere suggested quality and care in an industry often criticized for rushing customers through transactions. Financial collapse has become impossible to hide. Unpaid bills pile up at locations nationwide, with vendors refusing to deliver supplies and utilities threatening shutoffs. Former employees report paychecks bouncing and benefits disappearing without warning. The company that once prided itself on treating workers like family now leaves them scrambling to find new jobs with little notice. Empty dining rooms tell the story more clearly than any financial report. Locations that once bustled with families picking up dinner now sit eerily quiet, with staff outnumbering customers on most days. The few remaining diners often comment on how sad and abandoned the restaurants feel, a far cry from the welcoming atmosphere Boston Market once cultivated. Supply chain failures have made menu consistency impossible. Customers report arriving to find their favorite items unavailable, not due to temporary shortages, but because the company can no longer afford to stock them regularly. The rotisserie chickens that built the brand's reputation sometimes sit under heat lamps far longer than food safety guidelines recommend. Equipment maintenance has been deferred so long that basic operations suffer. Broken ovens, malfunctioning refrigeration, and failing point-of-sale systems create daily crises that overwhelmed staff struggle to manage. The infrastructure that once supported efficient meal preparation is literally falling apart. Location closures happen with increasing frequency and little warning. Customers arrive to find locked doors and hastily posted notices, their regular dinner plans disrupted by a company that can no longer maintain basic operations. Each closure removes another gathering place from communities that depended on Boston Market for convenient family meals. Number 5. Popeyes. The Louisiana-inspired chicken chain experienced a meteoric rise when its chicken sandwich sparked viral social media attention and long lines around the block. Success seemed to validate everything the brand represented: bold flavors, southern hospitality, and chicken done right. But the glory days are fading fast as operational problems and pricing pressures transform triumph into trouble. Price increases have shocked loyal customers who once viewed Popeyes as an affordable indulgence. The chicken sandwich that created nationwide buzz now costs more than many full meals at competing restaurants. Families who used to treat Popeyes as a regular option find themselves priced out of what was once considered accessible comfort food. Service quality has plummeted as locations struggle with understaffing and undertrained workers. The friendly, efficient service that complemented spicy chicken has been replaced by long waits, incorrect orders, and employees who seem overwhelmed by basic tasks. Customers share stories of 20-minute waits for simple orders and drive-through experiences that test even the most patient diners. Supply shortages have become routine rather than exceptional. Popular menu items disappear for weeks at a time, forcing customers to settle for alternatives or leave disappointed. The unpredictability destroys the trust that repeat customers need, turning loyal fans into occasional visitors who check availability before making the trip. Kitchen operations appear chaotic at many locations. Food quality varies wildly depending on timing, staffing, and management attention. The consistent excellence that built Popeye's reputation has been replaced by a lottery system where customers never know if they'll receive the product that made them fans in the first place. Franchise tensions are erupting into public disputes as owners struggle with corporate mandates that seem disconnected from operational realities. Many report feeling trapped between corporate expectations and the practical limitations of running profitable restaurants in challenging economic conditions. Number 4. Chipotle. The fast casual pioneer that promised food with integrity and revolutionized how Americans thought about quick service dining is facing a credibility crisis that threatens its core identity. Built on promises of fresh ingredients, ethical sourcing, and customizable meals, Chipotle created a new category of restaurant that competitors still try to emulate. But the foundation of trust that supported rapid growth is cracking under pressure. Portion control has become a source of constant customer complaints. Diners report receiving noticeably smaller servings while paying higher prices, creating a double hit to value perception. The generous portions that once made Chipotle feel like a bargain have shrunk to sizes that leave customers feeling cheated rather than satisfied. Food safety incidents continue to plague the brand despite years of investment in prevention systems. Each new outbreak, however isolated, reinforces public perception of Chipotle as risky rather than reliable. The company that once marketed itself as healthier than traditional fast food now struggles with health concerns that drive away safety-conscious consumers. Labor problems have created visible operational stress at locations nationwide. Understaffed restaurants struggle to maintain the fast service and fresh preparation that customers expect. Long lines move slowly, ingredients run out during peak hours, and the efficient assembly line process that made Chipotle famous breaks down under pressure. Price increases have pushed many menu items beyond the reach of budget-conscious diners who once formed the core customer base. What began as affordable, healthy fast food has evolved into a premium dining option that competes with full-service restaurants on cost while offering cafeteria-style service. Ingredient quality has become inconsistent as cost pressures force compromises in sourcing and preparation. The farm-to-table promise that built the brand feels increasingly hollow when customers notice variations in taste, freshness, and presentation from visit to visit. Number 3. Wendy's. The square burger chain that built its reputation on fresh beef and sassy social media presence once stood proudly as the scrappy alternative to McDonald's and Burger King. Dave Thomas's folksy commercials and the promise of never-frozen beef created a loyal following that appreciated quality over quantity. But in 2025, Wendy's is cutting corners everywhere, sacrificing the very qualities that made it special in a desperate attempt to stay profitable. Staff reductions have gutted service quality at locations nationwide. Drive-through times that once competed with industry leaders now stretch beyond reasonable limits as skeleton crews struggle to handle normal demand. The friendly, efficient service that complemented Wendy's premium positioning has vanished, replaced by stressed workers juggling too many responsibilities simultaneously. Value menu manipulation has confused customers who once understood exactly what Wendy's offered. Constantly changing promotions and pricing structures make it impossible for budget-conscious diners to plan their visits. Items appear and disappear from discount menus without warning, forcing customers to recalculate value propositions with every transaction. Ingredient quality has declined noticeably as cost-cutting measures take priority over the fresh preparation that built the brand. The never-frozen beef promise feels hollow when other components clearly suffer from corner cutting. Vegetables appear less fresh, buns feel cheaper, and the overall eating experience no longer justifies premium pricing. Franchise relationships are deteriorating as corporate demands clash with economic realities. Owners report feeling pressured to implement cost-saving measures that undermine customer satisfaction and employee morale. Many question whether the Wendy's brand still provides enough value to justify franchise fees and operational requirements. Location maintenance has been deferred to preserve short-term profits, creating dining environments that feel tired and neglected. The clean, modern image that once distinguished Wendy's from competitors is fading as restaurants look increasingly run-down and uninviting. Digital ordering systems fail regularly, forcing customers back to traditional ordering methods that stressed staff cannot handle efficiently. Technology that should improve operations instead creates additional friction points that drive away convenience-seeking diners. Menu innovation has stalled as resources focus on damage control rather than growth initiatives. The creative limited-time offers and seasonal specialties that kept customers interested have been replaced by desperate attempts to maintain basic operations. Number 2. Red Lobster. The seafood chain that once symbolized accessible luxury for working families has become a cautionary tale of corporate mismanagement and financial ruin. For decades, Red Lobster represented celebration and indulgence within reach of middle-class budgets. Cheddar Bay biscuits, endless shrimp promotions, and special occasion dinners created memories that spanned generations of American families. Bankruptcy proceedings have stripped away any pretense of normal operations. Court-appointed trustees now make decisions once handled by restaurant management, creating an atmosphere of uncertainty that permeates every aspect of the business. Employees work without knowing if their paychecks will clear while customers wonder if their favorite locations will still be open next month. Vendor relationships have collapsed as unpaid bills pile up and suppliers refuse to deliver essential ingredients. The fresh seafood that formed the foundation of Red Lobster's appeal becomes impossible to source when fish companies demand payment upfront. Menu items disappear not by choice but by necessity as supply chains break down completely. Employee exodus accelerates as experienced staff abandon sinking ships for more stable employment opportunities. The institutional knowledge that kept complex seafood preparation running smoothly walks out the door with every departure, leaving behind inexperienced workers trying to maintain standards they were never properly trained to meet. Customer loyalty evaporates as word spreads about declining quality and service failures. Diners who once planned special occasions around Red Lobster visits now share horror stories of cold food, dirty restaurants, and staff who seem as confused as the customers about what's happening to their beloved chain. Asset sales have begun stripping valuable real estate and equipment from the system. Prime locations get sold to pay creditors, while remaining restaurants operate with aging equipment that breaks down regularly. The infrastructure that supported Red Lobster's operations disappears piece by piece. Corporate support has essentially vanished as remaining executives focus on legal proceedings rather than restaurant operations. Franchise owners and managers receive little guidance or assistance, forced to improvise solutions to problems that require corporate-level intervention. Recovery appears impossible given the depth of financial damage and operational breakdown. Even optimistic industry analysts struggle to envision scenarios where Red Lobster emerges from bankruptcy as a viable restaurant chain rather than a collection of assets to be liquidated. Number 1. Taco Bell. The fast food chain that built an empire on cheap Mexican-inspired food and late-night convenience is watching that empire crumble as cost-cutting destroys the very affordability that made it famous. For generations of college students, shift workers, and budget-conscious families, Taco Bell represented reliable satisfaction at prices that didn't break the bank. The purple and pink neon promised quick, filling meals when money was tight and options were limited. Quality deterioration has become impossible to ignore as ingredients get cheaper and preparation shortcuts multiply. The seasoned beef that once provided decent flavor now tastes processed and artificial. Vegetables arrive pre-wilted, cheese comes from dispensers rather than blocks, and the overall eating experience feels like a pale imitation of what Taco Bell once delivered. Menu experimentation has spiraled into chaos as desperate attempts to attract attention replace coherent food strategy. Bizarre, limited-time offers confuse customers who just want consistent versions of classic items. The simple menu that made ordering easy has been replaced by an overwhelming array of options that many locations cannot execute properly. Pricing contradictions destroy the value proposition that built customer loyalty over decades. Items marketed as cheap alternatives now cost more than full meals at competing restaurants. The dollar menu that once anchored Taco Bell's appeal has largely disappeared, replaced by value options that provide neither value nor satisfaction. Preparation standards have collapsed as undertrained staff attempt to handle complex menu items without proper guidance or equipment. The assembly line efficiency that made Taco Bell profitable breaks down when workers don't understand procedures or lack the tools to execute them correctly. Orders take longer, mistakes multiply, and customer frustration grows with every disappointing experience. Franchise abandonment accelerates as owners realize that Taco Bell's current trajectory offers no path to profitability. Many report that corporate demands for expensive renovations and menu changes make no financial sense when customer traffic continues declining. The franchise system that powered Taco Bell's growth now hemorrhages experienced operators who see better opportunities elsewhere. Late-night business has evaporated as safety concerns and staffing problems force early closures at locations that once thrived on after-hours traffic. The 24-hour availability that made Taco Bell essential for night shift workers and college students has become a liability that few locations can afford to maintain. Brand identity has become completely muddled as marketing messages contradict operational realities. Advertisements promise fresh ingredients and innovative flavors while actual restaurants serve processed food with declining quality standards. The disconnect between brand promise and customer experience grows wider with each failed promotional campaign. The collapse of these 10 fast food giants marks more than lost jobs and shuttered buildings. It signals the end of an era when affordable dining was part of everyday American life. Rising costs, shrinking wages, and shifting consumer expectations have created an economic storm that even the biggest brands can't survive. These restaurants once served as gathering places where families could eat without financial stress and young workers could find their first jobs. Now, mass closures are leaving behind unemployment, empty storefronts, and communities stripped of both income and identity. The decline has accelerated with stunning speed. Chains that seemed stable months ago are declaring bankruptcy, victims of supply chain chaos, inflation, and labor shortages that have crushed thin profit margins. Technology meant to modernize operations has instead alienated customers, replacing human connection with malfunctioning kiosks and broken apps. For millions, fast food wasn't just convenience, it was security. It provided an affordable meal when budgets ran dry and a dependable paycheck when opportunities were scarce. Its disappearance widens the gap between comfort and struggle. What's emerging isn't a rebirth, it's a reckoning. The golden age of cheap, consistent fast food is over, replaced by higher prices, fewer choices, and widening food deserts. The glowing signs are going dark, taking with them one of the last symbols of accessible comfort for working Americans.